What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back here in another video. And today, this is a video I want to do for a long time. It is the Cowboys 7-round mock draft. So I hope you guys do enjoy. This is going to be a fun one for me. Obviously, the Cowboys are sitting up there pretty high in the draft. So, pretty low in the draft, I guess you could say. They're sitting all the way here. I believe at pick 28. They might be pick 27 right now. It doesn't really matter. We're still going to have a great time. So if you guys are new, like, comment, subscribe. We have content coming out almost every single day. So you guys like the NFL draft? I'm your place. I'm your place to watch. So let's kick into this. And before we start the draft, let's look at a nice little look at the roster. Okay, so starting off with the wide receivers. Obviously, you have probably one of the best duos in the NFL. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, two excellent high-end wide receivers. Amari, one of the few wide receivers really worth every penny that you pay him. Really, really talented wide receiver. I'm a big fan of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. We all knew, obviously, he was my number one wide receiver in the first draft I ever covered. So happy that he's panning out as well. Simi Fehoko, another guy who, funnily enough, is actually older than CD. Didn't even think about that one, but a really good prospect that's going to be coming up and having a pretty good career in the NFL. 6'4", had, I think, 4.4 speed. So really talented player. Now, the issue is the free agents right here. Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup. I think Cedric Wilson's going to be cheaper, and Michael Gallup's going to want to go to a place where he can actually be a true number 2 or number 1. And that's going to leave them to be paying Cedric Wilson probably around the hopefully sub $8 million a year. And I think that if you give him like a 2-year, $16 million contract, even up to $20 million, like it's a little bit ridiculous at that point. But Cedric Wilson's been paying off. He could be in that wide receiver 2 conversation for this team. Obviously not with CeeDee Lamb here, but wide receiver 2 level talent. And then you got TJ Vasher here, really solid wide receiver core. You know, everybody knew that, but you know, just got to emphasize that they're really, really good at that position. Tight end wise, Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz actually is up for a contract. That is going to be interesting because obviously you paid Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz has come on. Like, he's doing really damn well. I wasn't a fan of the Blake Jarwin contract, but I mean, realistically, $22 million is not a big contract anymore. We just see like Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce deserved it, but Dallas Goedert getting a monster payday. I think Dalton Schultz might be getting something close to that because he's been going off. He is one of the more underrated tight ends. And I don't know if he's actually underrated anymore, solely because everybody knows he's underrated, but still really, really good tight end. We got to see how that situation pans out, because if he ends up going to another team, that could be a very, very huge target for the Cowboys to select. So interesting situation right there. We're going to project he goes back. Obviously, I'm projecting that the only guy leaving so far is Michael Gallup. That's a big impact player. Looking at other offensive spots, we're looking at tackles here. We got Lyle Collins. Ty Nsekhe is going to be up for a contract this year. So Lyle Collins is here until a good time, 2025. I'm not worried about that right tackle spot anyways. Left tackle is really the one where I'm starting to worry about. They already started getting some replacements. Josh Ball, I don't know why the hell he got drafted. If you want to know why he shouldn't have been drafted, go look at his history with assault charges, but just not a very good person. Terrence Steele, I believe, has been playing a little bit, and you know, I just don't think he's the future. I don't think he's the answer. And you know, that is going to be a little bit of trouble because Tyron Smith is a Hall of Fame level talent, but one, he can never stay healthy. Obviously, that contract is really nice, right? Like that's a nice ass contract. You don't see tackles going for that at all. Like you're going to be expecting a $160 million contract if you're going out for 8 years. Regardless, Tyron Smith is worth every penny when he's healthy. Weird that on Thanksgiving that he was both out of position and held in the same play, though. That just doesn't seem like a Hall of Fame level talent play, but we all know how good he is when he's healthy. But the issue is he's never healthy. And also, those injuries do pile up. You're 30 years old and you can't stay healthy at all. Players do call it a career if they know they're almost Hall of Fame bound, and they're starting to like reduce their future life expectancy. So Tyron Smith, life expectancy is a really harsh way of putting it. They're not going to enjoy being older. I'll just put it that way. I would consider going after a guard tackle replacement because looking at the guards, Connor Williams is up for a contract. Zach Martin, we don't even need to talk about that absolute freaking monster. Connor Williams is up for a contract. I don't think he's deserving of anywhere near like a $14 million a year contract. And I already know the Cowboys would probably pay that. praying to God Connor Williams doesn't return. He's just not that talented of a guard to where I think they deserves a big contract. Deserves to be one of those guys who's a floater, plug and play player, just not worth it. I think that that's a perfect spot to look for a guard tackle hybrid, which I've been doing in my mock drafts. So I think that's fine. Center Biadasz, perfectly fine. Connor McGovern, just he's deserving of being a backup. I think that's pretty obvious. Just doesn't fit the bill to be able to play unless absolutely needed. So that's the offense. Quick look at the defense. You got your safeties right here. Keanu Neal. I almost say Keanu Reeves too. That's funny. But you got a lot of dudes kind of up on contract here, right? Look at right here, this category, this right here, this column is where I'm getting all my information about whether these guys are coming up on contract or not. You got Donovan Wilson, who's going to be there next year. And then that's pretty much it in the strong safety category. So safety is definitely something I'm going to be targeting. That's something I've done again in my drafts, but it scares the living hell out of me because they got a lot of dudes that come in and just patch it for a year, right? Make a Super Bowl run. We'll give you $1 million and then you go with it. Hopefully Donovan Wilson comes back because he actually was pretty damn talented. But besides that, you need something more. DeMonte Casey could be brought back for another year, but I really think that going after a strong and or free safety wouldn't be a bad choice whatsoever. So praying that we can bring back a guy like DeMonte Casey. I do like him a lot. Malik Hooker as well. I've always been a fan of Malik Hooker when he's healthy. I thought that he was an excellent pick until, of course, injuries kind of derailed his career. Regardless, next, we're looking at the pass rushers. This is another big topic for this draft. Are they going to bring back Randy Gregory? There are some very big key players that are up for contract this year. I don't want to be on this team in 2025 because, as you guys can see, most of their contracts are up 2025. But Randy Gregory is the big question mark. He's been playing lights out this year, very well above his $1 million contract. This guy's probably going to get paid $12 million a year. I'm praying to God he doesn't get the Bud Dupree type of contract because we already know how that's going. But Randy Gregory, really talented linebacker. He's the new edge rusher for this team. He's the 3-4 outside linebacker edge rusher, and that he plays perfectly at it. Again, he is 29. I don't know how much longer he has left. We'll probably be taking edge, but I don't know. We don't know. The draft is going to pan out the way that the simulator does it. But again, linebackers, you got a amazing linebacker group. LVE, really solid. I think he's a little bit underrated now. People overrated him in the beginning. Now he's the overhype train has just died. Micah Parsons, we know how freaking amazing he is. He was my number 3 talent in the draft, so I'm very proud to say that I was totally on the train. And interior defensive line wise, finally, Osa Digizua. I was a pretty big fan of him. Thought that there might be some issues with him dealing with power, but he's been doing well. Neville Gallimore still on there. Tristan Hill doing their thing. Not exactly the best interior defensive line in the world, but you got solid piece right here. You can get maybe one more if you want, but it's not a necessity. And defensive end wise, you're really looking at one true defensive end since you're running that 3-4 outside linebacker on the other side. DeMarcus Lawrence is a perfect guy for that role. You have some really good depth here as well. Chauncey Golston, drafted in, I believe, the 3rd round last year. Now, finally, going to the corners, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Kelvin Joseph, Trevon Diggs. Really solid group of corners here. I think as they continue to develop, as long as Kelvin Joseph doesn't stop freaking hitting people in the middle of the game, we might be fine. Jordan Lewis is definitely a really talented corner. For some reason, I thought Jordan Lewis was on the Bengals. You guys can hit me up about that one. But Anthony Brown, really solid. I believe he's in the slot as well. Trevon Diggs needs no mention. Oh, I forgot about Nashawn Wright, which is a guy who came out of nowhere, 6'4" corner. Israel Mukuwamu, another guy. So bottom line, good ass roster. There's a reason why they're doing well. Let's kick into the draft. I'll probably drop a time down into the description on when you could skip to the draft because a little crazy. Derek Stingley goes number 1 overall, which is ridiculous. I am not a Derek Stingley hater at all. I think he's a very talented corner. I think he's worth a top 5 pick when I watch him play. I just don't like the idea that you go from, I don't like citing PFF grades because they're not factual. It's a freaking algorithm, for Christ's sakes. But it went from a 91.7 down to like a 66. So that scares the living hell out of me. You just don't take that big drop for no reason. And that's because Christian Fulton was pretty much the cornerback 1. But I did like what I saw on tape, even in his final game against ASU, because I was watching Kellen Dyche. No, I was not versus ASU, versus Central Michigan, because I was watching Raymond. I think his name's Bernard Raymond. That guy's a beast, by the way. You need to watch him. But like he made some really good plays, and I liked it a lot. But at number 28, we are in an interesting spot because I think you could go with a project like Trevor Penning. I legit am considering taking a tackle round one. Call me crazy. I'll completely respect that. But just saying, Jordan Battle is going to be the more likely pick. I think he's a very, very good all-around safety. Daxton Hill is more of a slot corner safety. Not a huge fan of doing that when we got Anthony Brown here. Bro McKinley, not worth a first. Jalen Catalon, I love my boy, but not going to be selecting him over Jordan Battle. You guys know me. I really like the Jordan Battle fit. Seeing if anybody crazy has fallen, and they really haven't. It's nobody who I'm going to be like, holy shit, they're here. So personally, I'm going to be going with the safety route. Again, think about Trevor Penning. I'm just going to say I'm not going to pull the trigger on it because you're pretty much saying screw you to Tyron Smith. Like, I don't think that Trevor Penning is going to be starting at guard his first year. I think that he's too good of a talent to start at guard. So either you're going to say screw you to Tyron Smith, which is a dick thing to do. Also, it's probably not a Cowboys thing to do. Or you go with a more logical position like safety with Jordan Battle. And Jordan Battle is a super good all-around safety. Like, he's not a guy. Jalen Catalon will wow you in one thing. That's his speed. And he's also pretty good at coverage. But they have like a marquee trait. They have something that just like it's their scarlet letter. But no, I just said Jalen Catalon again. But Jordan Battle is somebody who has unbelievable traits at everything. Now, that doesn't make him elite in anything, but it makes him extremely solid. Could we have gotten Brandon Joseph here? Sure. I think he's going to go back. I legit have that. I have that weird feeling he's going to be going back. This dude was in my top 5, not top 5 safeties, top 5 at the start of the year when he was not putting on weight to become more NFL weight. I just never got that. He some players can play at a lighter weight if it suits them better, and he needs to do that. Number 60 though, we are sitting here, and again, I want to look at this edge room. You know, Arnold Ebiketie, Kingsley Nagbear is a little too big though. I'm looking for somebody like 230 up to 250. So Arnold Ebiketie, I think that's a good one. Nick Bonito, another really good one. Again, pretty close to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. You know, Oklahoma, right above Texas. Obviously, I live in Dallas, so get to see Oklahoma get annihilated by thunderstorms all the time. It's kind of flattering. But regardless, at this spot, I do want to still look back. And I would say Bernard Raymond. I used to know, like in my last draft, I literally posted today because I actually watched him in depth. I was like, I didn't take him at all. But he is better than Kellen Dyche by a long shot. Just, again, he's also 6'7", 300. He's not 310, he's 300. Side note. So we're actually going to go back here. I think an edge player is probably the best option. You know, I'm not seeing anybody at the tackle or guard spot. I'm going to say Zion Nelson's going to return as well. Look at him. He's a true junior. He's a top 20 prospect at the start of the year, arguably tackle one. I think that is going to be he's going to be a guy who returns as well. So I'm going to go in this edge room. I think edge is perfectly fine right now. Zach Harrison, if you wanted to get a replacement for DeMarcus Lawrence, perfectly fine. I think that guy like Nick Bonito seems to make a little more sense here. Don't pay attention. Like, my number one goal to you guys, do not pay attention, or my number one tip of advice, do not pay attention to TDN ranks. They mean absolute bullshit. I mean, Nick Bonito was up at like 15 at the start of the year. Yes, he's not a bona fide first round prospect, but this dude is a freaky athlete and deserves to get respected. He fits perfectly what Randy Gregory is. I don't think Randy Gregory is going to get a long-term contract, even if he gets one. And Nick Bonito might need a little bit of time to get into the NFL. So going defense might be a little bit out of the Cowboys' usual routine, but they did it last year. So we can do it again this year. You know, I think that obviously we've seen the success with how damn good they could be by going defense. You saw how the defense just switched back. Kingsley Nagbear, I got to give him a quick shout out just because he doesn't deserve to be here. This dude's an absolute monster, and he's a first rounder. I'm going to do another deep tape study on him, like a little tape dive, but obviously not yet. Just this guy deserves a lot of respect. And for him to be down that far on the TDN board, it helps guys out like me, where if I had a team like let's just say I was looking for the Chiefs and I wanted to wait till the second, maybe third round, I can get a dude who I'd probably get from the first. So that's the only little insider info onto how these drafts roll out. Regardless, I think that we should start paying attention to how this draft's falling in this realm. I think Leticia Smith is somebody who I'm going to heavily target. You don't need to get a left tackle replacement for the future because, again, I don't really think there's much here. Abina Eze is probably my next best guy on the board. If there were Bernard Raymond, I would heavily consider it. That's not the case. Wide receiver, Wan'Dale to me is an early 2. Now, we could certainly take him. I just think Cedric Wilson's going to come back, and that is a tough one for me. That's tough because for me, I am 100% down on the Wan'Dale Robinson train, and I think I might just pull the trigger. Again, the draft can fall this way. It's not insane for the draft to fall a certain way. You could go after a tight end here. You could, if you don't want to get Dalton Schultz back, or if it starts looking like that's the case, go for a tight end. This is a pretty good class. That being said, we already assume he's not coming back. I think wide receiver is an excellent choice with Wan'Dale Robinson on the board. This dude is being heavily disrespected, and there's no reason for it. He's a gadget weapon, a really, really good target. You could look at the corners, safeties again, because, again, we only have one safety left on contract. But I'm really starting to like the prospect of a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson on the squad. Leticia Smith is somebody who I'd heavily consider as well. I just think that guy like Wan'Dale is exponentially better value, and he does kind of fit that Michael Gallup role. Excellent route running, really good after the catch too. Former running back at Nebraska, and he was amazing. I think over 1,000 yards, both receiving and rushing as a true freshman there. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. Unfortunately, I think I saw Leticia Smith go off the board. So Leticia is like the hardest word for me to pronounce of any name this draft, and it's quite funny. But regardless, it sucks because I really wanted to go after him in this next round, hoping he fell. Just didn't happen, and that's okay. We don't have to get, again, you don't always draft every position of need. You also go after who's the best available, like we did in the last round. Like, you get a guy who's almost worth a first round pick in the third, absolutely. But we're sitting here, and I think Abina Eze is still on the board. Very talented, very, very, very talented tackle. Like, he's progressed multitudes over his career. And Tyler Vrabel, another guy I like to mention here, just because, again, you could probably kick him into guard. Kellen Dyche is actually a guard. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. Don't listen to this crap. I've already called out TDN multiple times on them getting wrong information. But Abina Eze is a dude who I think is worth keeping around. Also, Josh Ball was 6'8", another guy who you guys drafted. Like, this is a guy worth keeping on the roster. Again, TCU is also close to Dallas. I think he is worth his pick by a long shot. Again, you could look at Tyler Vrabel here. Haven't looked at Braxton Jones enough, neither with Tyler Vrabel, but both of these guys, talented tackles. I think him being at TCU might get a little bit more exposure to these Dallas scouts. Makes it a little bit cheaper as well for them to scout him. So Abina Eze out of TCU, I think it's just a good option. You can never go wrong with the offensive line. I just think right here you're getting really good value because, again, this is a dude who will be able to step in and play year one. So at 142, we are back with another pick. And obviously, Mike Jones, I'm going to say he's returning. There's no reason. He should have been a first-round talent. But, I mean, if you want to see us go back-to-back tackles, we could. We really could. And that's something that I would consider doing. However, we still need somebody else on the defensive front. And I have a early third on Haskell Garrett. We're sitting here mid to late fourth. I'm thinking about pulling that trigger. Now, Trey McBride is here. I don't want to continue abusing the Trey McBride train. Again, already said that they're going to re-sign their tight end Dalton Schultz. So we can't do that. We could look at guards here. Just, it's really, really thin, guys. Like, it's not good. Cade Mays is probably the next best thing that you can get. And to be honest, I'm not that crazy about him. Also, he's a right guard, so it makes it a little bit easier on the conscience to not go that way. I am going to be going Haskell Garrett here out of Ohio State. He was a guy who was a third rounder for me last year as well. Continued to prove that he is a talented ass interior defensive lineman. I don't think that people should be disrespecting him that much more. So the disrespect stops here. Filter COVID coming in this draft is quite interesting. But another position that I want to like kind of consider is corner, getting another guy here. I'm not going to abuse the Riley Moss train either, but if obviously I know that you already went, but for getting the kid out of TCU who keeps having injury, Noah Daniels, I think that would be a perfect fit as well. But we're still sitting here 170. I think again, I keep wanting to look back here and find something. I keep looking back here to see, hey, are we going to be able to find like this crazy steal? We're not able to. It sucks, but that's the way the draft rolls. Let's see who the best available is. And you got a lot of edge players here. Now, this is a good spot to maybe load up on a bigger pass rusher. Again, not going after a tight end right there. I think a guy with a lot of potential is the right move. Look at Xavier Thomas here, 265. He's a dude with all the athletic freak nature bestowed upon him. And it's perfect for him to learn under a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that it is a home run pick. He's the inside version. We already got an outside edge. Now he's more that DeMarcus Lawrence edge rather than the Randy Gregory. I think it's a perfect fit. It's the right move. You could go after Boye Mafe as well. Another guy who deserves a shout out. Just another guy with some freaky athleticism. There's just some dude in this. This is a really good edge class. It's okay to double dip at that edge position. And that's exactly what we did. So, another position we could look at is I don't want to say running back because obviously we have two really, really good ones. It's just hard to think that after this year, you're going to be saying that we're going to bring Tony Pollard on for a monster contract because he knows how good his contracts would be. Now, if I saw, what's his name? Greg Dulcich here, I'd pull the trigger. It's okay to take a tight end at this spot because, again, you're getting depth at this point. So this is why you want to look at the best players available. And like Xavier Hutchinson, not going to lie, pretty intrigued with this guy. He is very, very good at Iowa State. I think it might have been against Iowa. They just carved him up. Really, really good player. But we've already went multiple times on the defensive front. We could look at the safety room again. There is Bubba Bolden here. I just don't like it that much. Again, you could look for a guy who's developmental like Storm Duck here. Joey Porter Jr., Stephen Gilmore. I like those three guys past the third round. Those are kind of like my later guys. That being said, I don't think that might be the right move. This is a really tough spot to be in right now because there's so many ways that you could go, but none of them are the right move. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of, you're backed into a corner and there's nothing you can really do about it. I'd trade this pick personally. I think that'd be the right move. I just keep wanting to find somebody to move to guard. Obviously, we could find somebody in here that should move to guard. I'm looking at Jalen Thomas here. I think that he could honestly go there. He is pretty damn solid as well. Like he's not worth like a 5th round pick, but here the 6th, moving him to guard, again, look at his size, 6'3", 312. I think that's kind of perfect. So I'm honestly almost going to pull the trigger again, getting a guy who's right next to the Dallas Cowboys right here in Dallas, Jalen Thomas, but I might wait one more round for it. This might be a good time to draft another wide receiver. Again, there is a potential chance of losing multiple wide receivers here. Xavier Hutchinson's here. I already think we got a guy who is similar to him. DJ Matthews deserves some respect. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to pull the trigger. We're going to go Xavier Hutchinson here. I think that he's 6'3" as well. So 6'3", really good route running. I think that he could just go off. He caught my eye, and then I found out that he's going into this draft. So I was pretty happy to see that. Didn't want to draft a running back or anything. Owen Papo is probably my favorite guy left on the board. There's just not enough dudes being like sent out at that position to make me comfortable taking him. Hopefully we could get a guy like Jalen Thomas in the last part of the round to put him at guard, because I think a guy who's already played 4 years starting at SMU can be a really good guy to put there at right or at left guard. And he's used to play on the left side of the line. There's just a lot to like, and we might not even have a pick, and we don't. But if we could go and get him in free agency, because obviously all of his friends are here in Dallas, hopefully, then it'd be a good spot to go. Really, really good tackle, guys. Somebody you guys should watch. But that is going to be the draft. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody to end off the draft. If I knew that, I probably would have went with Jalen Thomas here. But regardless, that is it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you would have taken. I'll see you on the far side. Peace.